Hi everyone, this is Tisch Aitken and I'm here to discuss this month's full moon in Gemini. But before so, I'd like to discuss what's going on in California and the horrific fires and all the lives and people that have been displaced by everything, all the lives that have been lost. It has just been a terrible time for California, and you're definitely in my heart and prayers. And I have a lot of friends and clients there that have been impacted by this, and I think it's really important right now to find a way to tap into faith and optimism and generosity and helping people through this difficult time. I've talked a lot about the negative aspects of Uranus in Aries and how Uranus rules the internet and networking and social media, and how in Aries it became much more a focus on self, I think, at the end of that journey. But what I also want to point out is the higher form of it is that Uranus rules networking, it rules social media. And I have noticed in the last few weeks a lot of people really, trying to network and connect and find ways to help people and animals that have been displaced and lost. And that's a way that we can come together. And the other thing too, on November 8th, Jupiter, which is the luckiest planet, entered the sign of Sagittarius, which is its home sign. And Jupiter is about having faith and optimism. It is about generosity. And Jupiter will be in Sagittarius until December 3rd of next year. And this is a time for all of us to hopefully open up our hearts and and to have something to get us through. I recently spent time with a friend of mine who's 91 years of age, and he lived through the Depression and World War II and several other terrible things that happened in his lifetime. And when he was growing up, the movies for everyone was a ticket to security. That's how he put it. And a lot of people right now are without security and without feeling really lost. And Mercury recently stationed retrograde in Sagittarius on November 16th, which is the day that Venus stationed direct. And with Mercury, it was formed a difficult aspect to Neptune. And Neptune in Pisces, also in its home sign, is about the dream, but it can also be very much about wanting to escape. So I think, like my friend who escaped in his childhood through movies and being invited to different worlds and joy and laughter, and seeing stories about people who also were struggling and trying to get through a difficult time and get through it, to give them a glimpse of the fact that they could have hope. I think for all of us now, trying to find ways to escape in a healthy route, because Mercury Neptune can really make us want to escape in sometimes detrimental ways. So if it's music, if it's art, if it's spending time with friends, if it's creating something, whatever it is for you, trying to find healthy ways to tune out, and also to find something to believe in and to raise your vibration, and hopefully to connect with other people during this time. So that's one thing I'd like to address. And we have some planets at the last degrees. Uranus is now at 29 degrees of Aries, and it's going to station at 28 degrees. So it's the final degrees of Aries. The nodes of fate have recently changed signs. That happened on November 6th. And so the north node is right now at 28 degrees of Cancer, and the south node is at 28 degrees of Capricorn. And so these are the late degrees, which is kind of finishing things up, and critical degrees. And this full moon that's occurring on November 23rd at 12:39 a.m. is at 0 degrees of Gemini, and that's a degree of new beginnings. So I think on one hand, a lot of us are having to finish things up, and we're figuring out the Uranus and Aries story, because that completes on March 7th of next year. But also during this retrograde, because Mercury rules the sign of Gemini, so I think it's going to be a very reflective time. It's not as well, this whole second half of the year has been one retrograde after the other, but I think it's about coming up with ideas. It's about thinking, it's a communicating, it's learning. I think that's one way to also get us out of our heads on some level, you know, because the moon is in Gemini, and it's opposite the sun in Sagittarius, which is now conjunct Jupiter. They're going to be exactly conjunct on November 26th. But Jupiter is the luckiest planet, and it is about faith. It is about kindness and joy. And, you know, when things are good, it gets us, you know, it brings a lot of joy and fun. And when things are really difficult, which, you know, with the shootings and the fires and the world we're in right now, well, it gets us through and at least gives us something to believe in, whatever that is for you. And, you know, in this full moon chart, the ascendant is Virgo rising, and Virgo is about being of service to others and helping others. And there's also a Venus-Uranus opposition. Now, as I mentioned, Venus was stationed direct on November 16th at 25 degrees of Libra, and that's its home sign. It's a beautiful placement in Libra, but it is also forming an opposition to Uranus, which is the wild planet, the unpredictable planet. So on one level, it might liberate us from things that are no longer giving us joy, but there could be unexpected events that happen with that. They fall in the 2nd and 8th houses, which are the money houses in the chart. So a lot of swings with you know, the economy and the stock market and our value system. But there could be good things that come from this. So after having gone through Venus retrograde, we really entered that we started to get in the shadow in early September, and Venus does not clear its shadow until December 17th. So really figuring out if you want to break free from things that no longer serve you, but also finding things that give you creativity, give you innovation, things that excite you. And I think finding that, you know, that ticket to security with movies or film or anything that gives you a sense of being secure right now, I think is important, because there are a lot of mutable planets in the sky, and things do seem like they're in mayhem, and they are, you know. But we also, I think with Jupiter, this brings a lot of opportunity and expansion, and the fact that the moon is in Gemini and the sun is in Sagittarius, conjunct Jupiter, which is about higher learning, and they're in the houses of learning, the 3rd and 9th houses, and travel. I think it's about trying to find ways to learn, to connect to the world, and again, to find a faith system. So I wish you a lot of luck. This is going to be, I think, with Neptune squaring Mercury, I think can be a little melancholy on one level, and I think it can be a little tired and wistful on some level, but it can also be highly creative. So tap into the creativity, tap into the optimism of Jupiter, and try to keep it calm at the table during the holidays, because people, again, could feel a little bit, their communication could be compromised because now Mercury is retrograde. But you might also see people from your past, or hear from people from your past, with Mercury in its detriment in Sagittarius, and you know, the sun conjunct Jupiter. But I think that I think Jupiter in Sagittarius is going to get us through some difficult times, realistically, and I'm thankful we have that. So I wish you a lot of luck, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.